Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Thursday, January 30th, 2025. I, of course, am here with the Daily Mortgage Rate Update, the only place on the web where you get to join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Coming to you from the Great Smoky Mountains here in Western North Carolina. Oh, look at this. I can show and hide these. Too bad I can't go to the next one, though. I can flip on. Anyway, I get easily distracted. Look at like a squirrel, shiny button syndrome, right? I know many of you have it too. So I'm in a good crowd. So if you're here this morning, say good morning. If you are watching on the replay, don't forget to just give us a little hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. Let Facebook or YouTube know that you were here. If you're here live or on the replay, don't forget to smash that like button, tag an LO friend, share this post in a group, maybe subscribe and give us a thumbs up if you are on YouTube as well. Let's go ahead and say hi to all the live folks here this morning. Good morning, Tim Kyla. Great to see you, my friend. Monica Dinkins, great to have you here. Amy Blauser, good morning. Yasmin Martin, wonderful to have you here. James Mahan, great to see you, sir. Michael Love, good morning. If you're here this morning and I didn't say hi to you yet, then say good morning. Otherwise, there you go. Angela Walters, good morning. Let's go ahead and dive into the good stuff here. We'll get right into it today. So, mortgage-backed securities are up a whopping 4 basis points to start the day. Let's just take a quick recap yesterday. What happened with excuse me? What happened with mortgage bonds? My man Ron Siegel said that I should get a soundboard so that I could mute when I cough. Or I told him I'm just too lazy. I could hit the mute button, but I'm too lazy to do that anyway. So let's take a look. So yesterday, the Fed left rates unchanged as expected. So there was no rate increase, no rate cuts. You can see here, bonds were really just calm ahead of the Fed meeting. At 2 p.m., when we got the policy statement, there was a bit of a dip. We went from 100.72 down to 100.60. We lost about 12 basis points, which in the scheme of things, I mean, 12 basis points is really nothing, but why did we lose those 12 basis points? I'm glad that you asked. I will actually use Matt Graham's commentary here to show you. It makes it a little bit easier. So taking a look, why is that? Dude, that's weird. All right, there we go. Back to, all right. I don't know why it's there, but here we are. So, here's what changed. That's the one I want. Bear with me a second. We're going to get there. All right. Let me adjust this so it fits in the window. Good morning. By the way, who else we got here? We got Dan Crowley, Mike Tebow. Good morning, y'all. Great to have you here. And then let's make this a little smaller so it'll actually start to fit. All right. So anyway, here's what changed. What we saw was a big drop, and it was really because of this line right here. So the line was inflation has made progress toward the committee's 2% objective, but remains somewhat elevated. The Fed makes very, very small tweaks to their policy statement from meeting to meeting. And that's why you can actually compare them this way and see that not much actually changes, right? So when you take a look through here, they made changes like since earlier it became the unemployment rate has stabilized at a low level in recent months, and labor market conditions remain solid instead of have generally eased and unemployment rate has moved but remains low. So you've seen that make a slight adjustment, but this is really what caught market's attention was inflation. They took away has made progress toward the committee's 2% objective. And now it just remains somewhat elevated. So there was some, believe it or not, there's a lot of speculation on just a little change like that. And what happened when you take a look here, you saw that there was a very strong initial reaction in mortgage bonds when we got that. And there was a quick drop. Now you'll see that their recovery was pretty much there. As we got into the press conference at 2:30, you'll see that by then things had already started to settle in, but then they improved. And that was because during the press conference, Fed Chair Jerome Powell was pretty clear on where things stand. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. But as far as a quick recap, yesterday was much less volatile than expected. Otherwise, other than that quick dip and then the recovery, I mean, we ended the day a couple of basis points within of where we started the day. Very, very odd. You don't see that a lot after the Fed meeting. And it could have been much worse, and I was prepared for it to be much worse. Now, for rate sheets today, rate sheets should be, just slightly better. We've seen some really nice improvement, though, for the last week. You can see last Thursday was the 23rd. Yes, that was last Thursday. And we were at 7.12. That's moved to 7.06. Using Optimal Blue, last Thursday we were at, there we go, 6.934. And now we're at 6.88. So just a little bit of improvement. Rates generally have been the same, but pricing's gotten a little bit better. Rebate pricing over that time frame. Not much, but just a bit. And that's pretty good since we've been cautiously floating. So good morning, Kim Mason, Deb Dickinson, Rob Stewart, Sherry Keeter, Glenn Boussard, Derek Weibel, John Dako. Great to have all of you here. And thank you for joining me. So reprice risk today is low. Mortgage bonds are up. They're up about 5 basis points to start the day. 10-year treasury yield 4.52, which you can see it's continuing to work its way down right here. You can see that. So reprice risk on the day is low. I'm not expecting that we see any big moves from here. We already got this morning's GDP data as far as what's affecting rates. GDP data showed a bit of stalled growth in the fourth quarter. Let's see, we've got that up here. GDP data grew 2.5% in 2024, helped by consumer spending, but growth slowed slightly in the final quarter of the year. The U.S. economy headed into 2025 on solid footing. There's a strong labor market helped power consumer spending in the final quarter of last year. Now, quick comparison, the European Central Bank, the ECB, they cut rates with the economy at a standstill. Their economy not doing nearly as well. They are trying to boost a stagnant Eurozone. And they're concerned about the U.S. tariffs and the effect that could have over there. So the European Central Bank lowered interest rates by a quarter point, aiming to bolster a stagnant economy. Say what you want about our Fed, our economy, our different things. We're doing better. I wonder what the debt load is, the credit card debt, consumer debt over in Europe, though. I wonder if that's the reason why the U.S. economy is doing so much better, because we're carrying so much more consumer debt. But what is, inarguable is that we do have a much stronger economy than what they have right now. So keeping that in eye, of course, you can't help but see the headlines for this terrible tragedy. A plane crashed into a Black Hawk helicopter out here. So just a bit scary. I mean, many of us travel. I travel on planes a lot. I know how safe it is. This is like the most major aviation disaster, most fatal aviation disaster in 24 years. But it's still scary. Still, it still shows you things can change in the blink of an eye. So always take an opportunity to hug the ones you love. Don't go to sleep mad, that kind of stuff. But you all know that already. So getting back into this side, the GDP grew. So we got that this morning, 2.5% in 2024. Still, that's far from recessionary numbers. So that's given us a little bit of a boost this morning, to see just to see that we saw overnight trading bonds improved. GDP data came out at 8:30. Didn't really have much of an effect here. We've lost a little bit of ground, but not much to worry about. Traders are still betting on bonds. So just keep that in mind. You definitely have seen some good things. Federal Reserve sent a clear message. It intends to keep interest rates unchanged for the foreseeable future. Taking a look here at the Fed funds, at the forecasts, expectations of a cut in March at the next meeting about 6 weeks from now, very low, less than 20%, and that'll probably disappear altogether. Still a bit of a coin flip as we go into May, but you'll notice that that's starting to move higher. That rates will stay the same. Markets are easing off on the optimism that we'll see a rate cut. In June, it's still about 30%. It was down to about 25% yesterday. It's about 30% that rates will remain the same. So markets are still betting on a rate cut to come in June. And there's a lot of things that'll happen between now and then, the talk of tariffs and different things. We've got things happening in the new administration at 100 miles an hour. So we'll see some things change here. But overall, I mean, the outlook, rates don't appear in danger of moving much higher, but they're also not looking like they're going to move much lower. It is nice to pick up some improved pricing from a week, but it still puts us very much in that range where we're at, and that's kind of it. This is where rates are going to be. So if you're doing govies, you're going to be the high sixes. If you're looking at conventional, you're in the low sevens, and low to mid sevens, and that's kind of where we're at. It's very unlikely that we see much movement tomorrow. We're going to get the PCE inflation data. It's going to come out in the morning. Nothing that you have to look to lock against or protect against. Not really anything that should be a big deal there. I mean, it's really just the advice is to continue to cautiously float loans closing near term. I would wait until tomorrow, see if the PCE data comes in. Remember, we got some better CPI core data, and if that inflation data does come in, especially the core numbers, a little bit better than expected, or just showing inflation's holding steady, or maybe even improved a little bit. Again, disinflation, not deflation. But even if we do see that, you'll see a positive reaction to bonds. Traders are looking for any reason to see bonds rally a little bit. So there's tomorrow we're heading to Friday. It's generally you're going to see a little bit more conservative pricing heading into the weekend, but there's very little risk, especially loans that have more time. There's very little concern that we have to worry about them, changing or getting. So that's kind of where we're at as far as the outlook. Rates really don't appear in danger of moving much higher from here. Next week, it's not likely that we have a lot of movement ahead of the BLS jobs data. That's going to be at the end of next week. And that data is probably going to come in pretty strong, but we shouldn't see we're not seeing any kind of a trend reversal or momentum reversal. If the data comes in showing that the labor market is doing okay, it's not going to send bonds like soaring, terribly selling off. We shouldn't see anything. Good morning, Jerry Avila, Ron Siegel. Great to see you, sir. Christy Resor. It's just scary. I mean, people die every day, don't get me wrong. But just, when it's put up in front of us and reminds us. So Mike said the float boat is getting ready for passengers. Yeah, I don't think it's going far though. We're talking like a cruise around a Circle Line cruise around the bay. We're not really talking about a Mediterranean cruise on that float boat, Mike. When we talk about that, anyone else's float boat, that you think about that? I know they love that term. Do I think the 6 can push above the 100-day moving average? Let's go ahead and take a look at the technicals on that, and we'll answer Jack's question. And even if it did, does it really matter is really the thing here, right? So let's go ahead. Let's make this full screen. So if we're looking at the 6, you've got the 200-day moving average right here, and the 100-day moving average will be all the way up here. So the 100-day moving average is at 101.10. We have opened above the 200-day moving average. If we want to look at the technicals here, and let's zoom in on this. Hold on a minute. We'll zoom in nice and close. Let me see if I can. There you go. So taking a look, if we want to look at technicals here, the fact that this 200-day moving average has not even acted as any kind of resistance, that's very surprising, especially because we didn't get tremendously dovish data yesterday, or a dovish message from Powell in his press conference, or anything that really would have pushed us above this. So the fact that we are breaking above the 200-day as easily as we have right now, and that's at 100.89 for the 200-day moving average. And actually, you know what? Let me refresh this because we're not above that. We're falling below that. We opened above it. Here we go. So sometimes their chart doesn't update. Isn't that the pain in the neck? So we actually opened above it and we're down below it. So this is more of what I would have expected. So we have this 200-day moving average at 100.89. We're at 100.83. This will act as some technical resistance. We could see a bit of a bounce off of this. If the PCE data comes in better tomorrow than expected, or showing at least some signs of, some light inflation, we could see it break above that 200-day. So we need to worry about the 200-day before we get to the 100-day. Will we break above the 100-day? Well, I mean, I'm going to say probably not. You could see the last time that we tested that was back here in December. We had more going along our way, and even then we didn't break above it. We tested it. You can see all these candlesticks here. You can see them here, candlestick, these wicks that where we were above it and broke below it, above it and below it. We could not break above it back then. So to answer Jack's question, I do not think that we have any momentum. We'd have to see a really, really weak labor report next week, BLS report, even the JOLTS data. We'd have to see a lot of something would have to turn and really give a rally. And I don't think that we're there for that. I don't feel that vibe's not there at all. So I think we see bonds continue to kind of creep along, fall back down. It's more of a day-to-day thing. And generally, you want to especially loans closing near term, it's never a bad idea to just lock them when you're happy with them right now. We're picking up a little bit day to day on pricing, but you're not seeing rates themselves move much. I mean, come on, take a look at this. If you, no matter which chart we use, let me make this full screen so you guys can see it. I mean, it doesn't matter which chart we use. We haven't really seen things move. We're in that high sixes. If you're using Optimal Blue, and I don't know if this has any kind of change to it, but you're in the high sixes, low sevens on any of this regardless. So I don't think we have to worry about rates continuing to creep up, but they're not going to get much better. It's kind of a lull, kind of a simple time. So hope that helps you out, my friend. And all right, everybody. Well, thank you. I will see you tomorrow, and have a fantastic Thursday, and we'll see about what's going on with PCE data tomorrow. In the meantime, if you'd like to sign up for our free email lock advice, you can sign up at www.ratelockadvice.com. If you'd like to sign up for our text alerts, you can sign up at www.ratetextalerts.com. If you'd like a reminder that I'm going live each morning, you can check us out at hmmr.io/reminder. And if you'd like to get loans from Google or social media, check us out at originatorssuccess.com. So, all right, my friends, I'll catch y'all later. Have